What makes a person brave? Is it the ability to face danger, or perhaps to stand against the tide of popular opinion? Let's ponder on these questions as we explore the ideas of bravery and resistance. What does it take to be a beacon of courage in times of despair? What kind of strength is required to resist when all odds are against you? These are not simple questions, but they lead us to a remarkable woman who embodied both these traits, Sophie Scholl. Born in 1921 in Fürstenberg, Germany, Sophie Scholl grew up in a family that valued intellectual freedom and critical thinking. In the Scholl household, lively debates were the norm, with the children encouraged to question, to learn, and to form their own opinions. This environment fostered in Sophie a strong sense of justice and a keen intellect. As a child, Sophie was, like many of her peers, initially swept up in the enthusiasm for Adolf Hitler's regime. The promise of unity and prosperity was enticing. However, as the grim realities of the Nazi regime began to reveal themselves, Sophie, with her critical mind, couldn't ignore the stark contrast between the propaganda and the truth. It was a time of deep reflection for Sophie, a period that saw her enthusiasm turn into disillusionment. She began to question, to challenge, and in doing so, she found her voice. It was these experiences that laid the foundation for Sophie's future activism. In 1942, amid the horrors of World War II, Sophie and her brother Hans co-founded the White Rose, a non-violent resistance group against the Nazis. The formation of the White Rose was a beacon of hope and courage. Comprising primarily of students from the University of Munich, they dared to challenge the oppressive Nazi regime. Sophie, a biology and philosophy student, played a pivotal role in the group, alongside her brother Hans and other brave individuals. Their operations were as audacious as they were ingenious. The White Rose worked clandestinely, distributing leaflets across Germany to expose the Nazis' war crimes and to rally support for resistance. These leaflets, filled with powerful and persuasive arguments against the Nazi regime, were secretly drafted and duplicated using a hand-cranked duplicating machine. Sophie's role was more than just a member of the group. She was a driving force, participating actively in the drafting and distribution of these leaflets. Despite being fully aware of the dangers, she was undeterred, believing firmly that it was their moral duty to resist. Sophie and her comrades also used graffiti as a tool, painting anti-Nazi slogans on buildings across Munich. They believed that knowledge was power, and they sought to arm the German people with the truth about the Nazi regime. Despite the risks, Sophie and her comrades were determined to shine a light on the atrocities committed by the Nazis. Their courage continues to inspire us, reminding us of the power of resistance and the strength of the human spirit. In February 1943, Sophie's fight against the Nazi regime reached a tragic climax. Sophie Scholl and her brother Hans were distributing the 6th leaflet of the White Rose Resistance at the University of Munich when they were arrested. The leaflets were the group's most powerful tool, containing impassioned pleas for resistance against the oppressive Nazi regime. The siblings were spotted by a janitor, who reported them to the Gestapo, the Nazi secret police. The evidence against Sophie was damning. The Gestapo found a draft of another leaflet in her possession, while her own handwriting matched that on the envelopes containing the distributed leaflets. Despite the mounting evidence, Sophie remained composed during her interrogation, denying all accusations. However, the Scholl's fate was sealed when a fellow White Rose member, under intense pressure, confessed to their involvement in the resistance movement. Sophie, Hans, and their friend Christoph Probst were put on trial 4 days after their arrest, in a court presided over by infamous Nazi judge Roland Freisler. The trial was a sham, a spectacle put on by the Nazis to show their power and control. Sophie, Hans, and Christoph were not allowed legal representation and were denied the opportunity to defend themselves properly. They were charged with high treason, weakening the nation, and incitement to desertion. The verdict was a foregone conclusion. Despite the impending sentence of death, Sophie's courage did not waver. She stood defiant, her spirit unbroken, displaying a bravery that deeply unsettled the Nazi officials present. Sophie's last words in the court echoed her unwavering belief in the cause she was fighting for. Despite facing certain death, Sophie remained unyielding, stating, "Somebody, after all, had to make a start. What we wrote and said is also believed by many others. They just don't dare to express themselves as we did." Sophie Scholl may have been silenced, but her spirit of resistance was not. This young woman's courage in the face of tyranny echoes through the annals of history, her legacy shaping the course of the Second World War and beyond. The impact of Sophie's death was profound. News of her execution spread like wildfire, reaching both German citizens and the Allied forces. The White Rose's final leaflets, smuggled out of Germany and dropped by Allied aircraft, served as a stark reminder of the power of resistance. This act of defiance reignited a spark of hope and courage in the hearts of many, fueling a renewed determination to resist Nazi oppression. In the aftermath of the war, Sophie's bravery did not go unrecognized. Post-war Germany honored her memory, immortalizing her in the form of streets, squares, and schools named in her honor. The University of Munich, where Sophie and her brother Hans once disseminated their leaflets of resistance, now houses the Sophie Scholl Institute, a testament to their indomitable spirit. Sophie's influence extends far beyond the borders of Germany, inspiring modern resistance movements across the globe. Her story serves as a beacon of hope, demonstrating the power of individual action in the face of injustice. Sophie Scholl stands as a symbol of courage and integrity, reminding us of the enduring strength of the human spirit. From the streets of Hong Kong to the squares of Minsk, echoes of Sophie's defiance can be heard. Her legacy serves as a guiding light for those who dare to challenge oppressive regimes, revealing that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, change is possible. Sophie's story is a call to action. It is a reminder that we each have a role to play in the fight for justice, equality, and freedom. It is a testament to the transformative power of resistance and the enduring impact of a single, courageous voice. Sophie Scholl's life and activism remind us that standing up for what is right, no matter the cost, is the true measure of bravery.